Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to Impact History. We're about to embark on a journey, a trip back in time to the birth of a nation. Buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the American Revolution. From taxation without representation to the iconic signing of the Declaration of Independence, we're breaking down the key players, the major conflicts, and the events that lit the fuse of rebellion. We're talking about the moments that made America, well, America. Get ready to learn about the revolutionaries, the risk-takers, the dreamers who dared to challenge an empire. This is their story, the story of the American Revolution. Our story begins, believe it or not, with a war, the Revolution. The French and Indian War, a clash of empires on the American frontier. It was a battle for land, for power, and it left Great Britain victorious but deeply in debt. Now, how do you think they planned to refill those coffers? You guessed it, taxes and lots of them. The British Parliament, believing the colonists should bear the cost of their own defense, imposed a series of taxes on the American colonies. These taxes, my friends, were the sparks, the Stamp Act, the Sugar Act, each one a log added to the bonfire of revolution. But it wasn't just the taxes themselves, it was the principle. The colonists cried out, "No taxation without representation." A rallying cry that echoed through the years. Adding fuel to the fire was the Proclamation of 1763. Picture this. Colonists, eager to expand westward, were suddenly fenced in, forbidden from settling lands won in the war. This only deepened their resentment towards the crown. The seeds of discontent were sown. Let's talk about the Sugar Act of 1764. It wasn't a new tax, but it was stricter, designed to crack down on smuggling. The colonists, accustomed to a degree of autonomy, saw this as a direct threat to their livelihoods. Then came the Stamp Act of 1765, a direct tax on all sorts of printed materials. Legal documents, newspapers, even playing cards, all required a stamp, a visible symbol of British authority. This, my friends, was a turning point. The colonists erupted in protest. Boycotts were organized, colonial assemblies debated fiercely, and a new breed of leader emerged. Men like Samuel Adams and Patrick Henry, voices of defiance against British rule. The Stamp Act Congress, formed in 1765, marked a pivotal moment. 9 colonies, united in opposition, sent a clear message to Parliament: we will resist. The pressure mounted, and in 1766, Parliament repealed the Stamp Act. But don't be fooled, this wasn't over. The repeal came with a catch, the Declaratory Act, asserting Parliament's right to tax the colonies. The message was clear, the fight was far from over. The year is 1767, and enter Charles Townshend, the new British Chancellor of the Exchequer. He believed he'd found a loophole, a way to tax the colonies without sparking outright rebellion. He called them the Townshend Acts. These acts imposed indirect taxes on goods imported from Britain: tea, glass, lead, paper, paint. Townshend believed the colonists wouldn't resist, but he underestimated their resolve. The colonists saw right through it. They recognized these acts for what they were: another attempt to assert control, to squeeze revenue from the colonies. The response? Boycotts, of course. Colonial women, the heart of the household economy, played a crucial role, finding substitutes for British goods. But it wasn't just about taxes anymore. The presence of British troops sent to enforce these acts further inflamed tensions. Boston, in particular, became a powder keg, the streets teeming with soldiers and simmering with resentment. March 5, 1770, a cold evening in Boston. Tensions already high are about to boil over. A group of colonists, some say they were harassing British soldiers, others say they were simply going about their business. Whatever the spark, the situation escalated. Shots rang out, 5 colonists lay dead or dying on the cobblestone streets. The Boston Massacre, as it came to be known, sent shockwaves through the colonies. The revolutionaries, masters of propaganda, seized upon the event. Paul Revere's iconic engraving, depicting the British soldiers as cold-blooded murderers, fueled the flames of outrage. The trial of the soldiers, though it resulted in acquittals for most, further exposed the growing rift between the colonies and the crown. The seeds of revolution, planted by earlier acts of defiance, were now taking root. Fast forward to 1773. The British East India Company, facing financial ruin, is granted a monopoly on tea sales to the colonies. This meant that colonists could only buy tea from the East India Company, even if it was more expensive. On December 16, 1773, A group of colonists disguised as Native Americans boarded 3 British ships docked in Boston Harbor. Their target, 342 chests of British East India Company tea. With a resounding splash, they dumped the tea into the harbor, a defiant act of protest against taxation without representation. The Boston Tea Party, as it became known, was a turning point. The British response was swift and severe. The coercive acts, dubbed the Intolerable Acts by the colonists, were enacted, closing the port of Boston and stripping Massachusetts of its self-governing rights. In response to the Intolerable Acts, colonial leaders from 12 of the 13 colonies convened in Philadelphia in September 1774. This was the First Continental Congress, a gathering of minds united in their opposition to British tyranny. They drafted a Declaration of Rights and Grievances, petitioning King George III for redress of their grievances. They also called for a boycott of British goods, a powerful tool of economic resistance. The British government, however, remained unyielding. The stage was set for a showdown. In May 1775, the Second Continental Congress convened, this time with all 13 colonies represented. They established the Continental Army, appointing George Washington as its commander-in-chief. The die was cast. The colonies were preparing for war. April 19, 1775. The British, seeking to seize colonial military supplies, marched towards Concord, Massachusetts. But the colonists were ready. Forewarned by Paul Revere's legendary ride, they were prepared to resist. At Lexington, a small group of colonial militiamen, the Minutemen, faced off against the British regulars. Shots were exchanged, and the first blood of the American Revolution was spilled. The British continued to conquer, but the colonists, now reinforced, forced them to retreat back to Boston. The battles of Lexington and Concord, though small in scale, marked the beginning of the armed struggle for independence. By the summer of 1776, the colonies were locked in a full-blown war with Great Britain. The time had come to declare their independence to the world. Thomas Jefferson, a young Virginian lawyer, was tasked with drafting the document. Drawing inspiration from Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke, Jefferson crafted a document that proclaimed the inherent rights of man life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It declared that governments derived their just powers from the consent of the governed. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, a beacon of freedom and self-determination. It was a shot heard round the world, a testament to the enduring power of human liberty. The American Revolution was a long and arduous struggle, filled with triumphs and setbacks. The Battle of Saratoga in 1777 proved to be a turning point, securing crucial foreign support from France. The French alliance provided the Continental Army with much-needed supplies, troops, and naval support. Together they fought to liberate the colonies from British rule. In 1781, the combined American and French forces achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown, Virginia, effectively ending the war. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, formally recognized American independence. The American Revolution was more than just a war for independence. It was a social and political revolution that gave birth to a new nation founded on the principles of liberty, equality, and self-government. And so, our journey through the American Revolution comes to an end. From the sparks of discontent to the flames of rebellion, we've witnessed the birth of a nation. These events set the stage for the birth of a new nation and the spread of democratic ideals around the world. The American Revolution stands as a testament to the power of ideas, the courage of ordinary people fighting for their rights, and the enduring legacy of liberty. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from the past, from Impact History.